I'm John Yandell. I'm the President of the Institute of Education UCU branch, and I want to talk to you about the upcoming series of ballots that UCU members are going to be involved in. One is a ballot on pensions, and the other is a ballot on pay and job security. And the issues are absolutely crucial to every UCU member in the country, and particularly to us here at the Institute. Before I get into the details, though, it's worth saying something about what's involved in a union ballot. They're not like surveys or questionnaires, in that the most important thing of all is that you do respond, and you respond positively. And that's not because I say so, it's because it's in your own interests as a union member. If you vote yes in a ballot for action, what that does straight away is to strengthen you and every other union member, because it makes it easier for those who are representing you to have a strong hand in their negotiation with our employers. So the very worst thing you can do is, when you get your ballot, to put it on one side and forget about it. The crucial thing is to vote, and to vote yes. As far as the issues are concerned, on pensions, it's important to remember that pensions aren't some sort of luxury that we get as a special perk. It's better to see pensions as deferred pay. In other words, they're part of our basic conditions, and what our employers are trying to do at the moment is to worsen those conditions, to rob us of money that is our right in a whole variety of different ways. But the most important one, I think, and the simplest to understand, is that historically our pensions have been calculated on the basis of the retail price index. Our employers have made the unilateral decision to abandon that and to replace it with a calculation based on the consumer price index, the CPI as it's called. That in itself will mean radically worse pay for us in our retirement. But it's worse than that, because the employers have also decided basically to create at least a two-tier workforce, if not a several-tier workforce. So there'll be one rule for us who are maintained in employment, and another for new entrants into universities who will be significantly worse off. What they're proposing on pensions is worse than that, though, because it involves absolutely clear discrimination against women in particular, given that women are more likely to have career breaks, and anyone who has a career break will end up with a worse pension than anyone without a career break. And I think it's completely outrageous that employers within the university sector should come up with a policy on pensions which discriminates against women so blatantly. The other thing it's worth saying about the current position on pensions is that the line that our leadership in UCU has taken has already been demonstrated to be the right one, in that already the employers have started to back off a little bit from what they were originally proposing. So we have already made some small gains. What you do in voting for action on pensions will make it possible for our negotiators to make further gains. So again, the very worst thing you can do is not to vote, or to vote anything other than yes, because that will damage your own interests in relation to your pension. The other ballot that we're having at the same time relates to jobs and pay. The employers, our employers, have imposed on us a 0.4% pay increase for this year. In reality, a 0.4% pay increase isn't an increase at all, it's a pay cut. Inflation is currently running at nearly 5%. So for anyone to increase our pay by 0.4% basically means a cut of over 4%. As if that weren't bad enough, though, the other thing that the employers have systematically refused to do is to enter into any sort of serious negotiation with us about job security. And that's crucial in this period where we're all aware that the threat of redundancy is a real one. What we were looking for in negotiation with the employers was a realistic system that would help to safeguard people currently working within higher education, that would make the possibility of redeployment just a little bit stronger, that would give very basic guarantees that employers wouldn't treat redundancy as the first step in coping with a difficult financial situation. And the employers have simply failed to enter into those negotiations, and that in itself is a good reason for our union moving to ballot members, so that we're prepared to take action in defence of our jobs. And there's nothing more basic in terms of what trades unions are for than that, to defend members' jobs. So on that question too, I would urge you to vote yes. The last thing I wanted to say is there is a very straightforward connection between the campaign on jobs and the campaign on pensions. Because one of the effects of what our employers are trying to push through on pensions is to make it cheaper for them to sack us. And again, in this period, when redundancies are a real threat, we would be foolish, to say the least, to accede to any attempt by our employer to worsen our pension position so that actually it made better financial sense for them to get rid of us. So I'd urge you to vote yes in both the ballots that you should be receiving shortly.